This is 2022's Nocebo. Warning, spoilers ahead. We open up to Bob's as she waits for her parents, and soon, Christine and Felix come out, arguing about who's going to pick her up from school today. There's no time to hash it out, and Felix tells Bob's that Christine is going to pick her up. After that, Christine drops her off at school and heads to a clothing store to inspect some child models as they show off the line. Then the children walk the mini runway to show off the new clothes. Suddenly, Christine gets a phone call and she tries to ignore it. They won't stop calling though, and she steps out to take it. Whoever's on the phone talks about pulling out bodies, and Christine seems horrified. She tells whoever it is that she has to call them back when she can process this information, and she spots a wild dog walking towards her in the shop. This dog looks like it's a patient zero in a Resident Evil dog movie. Then it starts shaking ticks all over her, and honestly, I'd freak out at that too. What purpose do ticks even have other than to spread disease and be a nuisance? Ugh, thank goodness that's over. 8 months later, Christine is waking up from a nightmare, and she removes the mask that's on her face. After a moment, she finally catches her breath and gets out of bed. She heads to the bathroom to take her prescription pills, and she scratches the spot that the tick was biting her on her neck. She heads downstairs to get breakfast ready for Bob's, but it's not going very well. Eventually, she gets Bob's outside for the driver to take her to school, and she heads back inside to finish getting herself ready. When she puts her shoes on, she says a good luck chant over them, and she heads to the car with bags of clothing. She heads to the child's clothing agency to wait, and eventually she's allowed to go back. Just in time too, because she starts having a hallucination again. She heads back to meet with Liz, and she asks if Christine has seen anyone since everything happened. Since what? What happened? I need some sort of answer. The only thing that seems to have changed is the fact that we haven't seen Felix yet. Liz likes what she sees in Christine's work, but when she gets to the car, she can't stop her shaking. She calls Felix and asks him if he can pick up Bob's instead. Well, that threw out my theory. Felix is okay, Bob's is okay, Christine has shakes. What's going on? When Christine gets home, Liz calls her, and she says that she has an opportunity for her to pitch her line to a partner. Christine says that this is the chance that she's been waiting for, and she hangs up. Suddenly, a spoon drops and a knock comes from the door. When Christine answers, she meets Diana, who says that she sent her to help out. Christine can't remember sending for her, but she goes along with it since Diana is finishing all of her sentences. When Diana asks where she'll be staying, Christine admits that she doesn't remember any of this, but she goes along with it and escorts her to a room upstairs. The room still needs to be tidied up, but Diana sees the potential in it. They quickly take all the boxes out and they work together to make the bed. Christine seems to love having someone else there for company, but she still can't remember hiring her. This isn't something that you just go along with though. Anyone could get a room that way. Imagine feeling obligated to let someone stay with you just because they said that you called them and forgot about it. I do kind of believe it in Christine's case though. She seems to be a mess. Diana lays in her new bed and looks at a picture she brought, and she has flashes of her labor. Oddly enough, Christine has flashes of her labor as she sits downstairs too. While she cleans, she eavesdrops on Felix telling Christine that this isn't something he appreciates coming home to. But after she expresses how busy and stressed she's been, he decides to give it a week. Diana starts cooking dinner and she adds some extra spices that she brought from the Philippines. When she serves the family, they can't believe how good the food is. But dinner is cut short when Christine starts seizing in her arm and leg. Felix goes to help her to the bedroom, but Diana swears that she can fix her. Sure enough, Diana puts magic healing hands on her and tickles the bad stuff out of her. What? I know, that doesn't sound very scientific or knowledgeable, but that's literally all she does. Even Felix looks at her like he can't believe that's all he had to do over the past 8 months. All she needed was a good tickle. After that, Felix puts Bob's to bed, but she sees the mangy dog in the hall. Felix heads to the room to sit with Christine, and Diane comes in to check on them. After she leaves, it's clear that there's tension between Felix and Christine. But it all started about 8 months ago. When they go to bed, Diane comes in to clean the room, and she snoops around Christine's studio after that. She finds an article from when Christine would travel the world to get inspiration for her clothes, and she looks at the little girl with longing in her face. Before she lays down, Diane lays out a pile of ashes from the fireplace outside her door, and she lays down for the night. I don't think Felix would be too happy to wake up in the morning and walk into a big pile of ash. He's just starting to warm up to her. When Diana lays down, something comes to the ashes and tells her that it's there with her. In a flashback, we see Diana in her hometown in the Philippines, and she dances around with a boy at a party. Back in the present, Bob's creeps up to Diana's room, and she finds the footprints in the ash. When she hears Diana wake up, she rushes down the stairs and watches as Diana carefully wraps up the ash. Then, Diana surprises Felix and Christine by waking them up for breakfast in bed. And Christine is very happy with this change of pace. That is until Diana starts asking her 20 questions. Then Christine informs her that this is actually intrusive, and they'll be eating their breakfast downstairs. Diana looks around the room as if she sees something, and Christine tells her to leave. Do not come waking me up out of a deep slumber with the scent of coffee and eggs, just to bring up haunting memories and look around like the ghosts from 13 Ghosts are casually chilling in my room. We'll have none of that here. After a while, Bob's heads to the car, and she waits with Christine so that Diana can see the route to Bob's school. Before Diana gets in the car, Bobs tells Christine that she saw someone else's footprints this morning, but their conversation is cut short when Diana gets in. On the way to school, Bobs realizes that they're going the wrong way, and Christine pulls over on the sidewalk. Christine starts seizing up again, and Diana thinks that they should walk instead of drive now. Eventually, they get to the school, and Christine tells Bobs that Diana will be picking her up today. Diana and Christine head back home so that Diana can work her medicine on her. Diane pulls out some hometown medicine, and it looks like Christine's in bad shape. Well, they can't get rid of Diana now. Who's gonna tickle her? Bobs? Christine wants to know how Diana knows of all these magical remedies, and she tells her about how a powerful magic woman came to her home when she was young. Diana witnessed the woman die, and her soul jumped into her. The soul is a bald baby bird, apparently? Yeah, that's something I didn't need to see. Diana explains that she understood the plants, stone, and remedies around her. She felt guided now that she had Umu's spirit, and her family used her as a way to make money. Christine isn't sure if she believes everything she said, but Diana says that the most important part to believe is the power of the medicine. Once Christine realizes that the shakes are gone, she hugs Diana and rushes to work. That night, Christina tells Felix that she feels fantastic thanks to the medicine Diana's been giving her, and Felix finally gives in. Later, Diana goes to her shrine she made for her daughter, but then Christine comes to visit her. She gives Christine a list of symptoms that she suffers from. Now we're getting the deep roots of Christine's past. She ran into the dog in real life when she was younger, and her problem started back when that tick bit her. That part was actually real? Diana agrees to help her if she continues to believe in her. She tells her that something is living inside of her, and she'll help her release it if she agrees to fight it. And that night, Bobs wakes up to find Diana flying outside her bedroom window. Just a casual little moment. When Bobs tells Felix what she saw in the morning, he blows it off as a weird dream. Later, Diana and Christine continue their work, and Diana has flashbacks to the moment her village was taken by rebels. She fled the village with her husband and baby, and they tried to find a place in the city. Back in the present, Christine goes to take her pills, but they're all gone. She comes downstairs to tell Felix that they're gone, and Diana tells her that she had said she was going to throw them away. Felix thinks that something weird is going on here, but Diana leaves to walk Bobs to school. Diana notices that the other kids pick on her, but the real scary moment is happening at home. Christine envisions that she's burning in a fire, and Felix comes into the studio to pull her back into reality. I think it might be time to get her pills back. She wasn't hallucinating when she was on the pills, at least. That night, Felix sits up by the fire, and after thinking for a moment, he goes to visit Diana in her room. He tells her that all of Christine's problems are all in her head, and it's all built up from guilt and stress. He asks her to stay out of Christine's head, but she respectfully declines. Felix makes it known that she doesn't appreciate being threatened, but she threatens Felix in return. When he leaves the room, the bird from the living room flies at him, and he knocks it against the wall. In the morning, Bobs and Diana bury the bird, and Bobs apologizes for being rude to her since she's the only one trying to be her friend. Later, Diana starts the next process of Christine's healing, and she's swarmed with terrifying visions. When she starts speaking in Diana's native tongue, Diana calls her to her, and she holds her close. Oh no, what if it's the spirit of Diana's daughter? When we see her past again, we see that Diana doesn't like that she had to bring her daughter with her to work, and she doesn't think that any of this should be part of her life. Her husband tells her that she could sell healing again, but Diana seems uninspired by this. Back in the present, Christine walks into another pitch meeting with a new confidence, and Diana walks Bobs to school. Diana asks her if she wants to learn something new today, and she offers her a day of no school. In the past, Diana walks with her daughter in the city, and she takes her to get their picture taken. Back at the house, Felix sneaks into Diana's room and he looks around for some clues. She came to the house with one suitcase. I don't think she's hiding too much around the room. Finding her daughter's shrine probably isn't helping Felix's mindset of her. Of course, this fool bothers the shrine and moves stuff around. Back in town, Christine gets the good news from the company, and Diana takes Bobs to a park to talk with birds. When Christine gets home, she's in the best of moods, but she finds that Felix had found the missing prescriptions under Diana's bed. A little later, Diana brings Bobs home, and she's confronted at the door. Diana tries to defend herself, but Felix has already gotten to Christine. Christine tells her to pack her things and go. When Diana gets upstairs, she packs up and releases the tick after whispering something to it. Then Diana goes to tell Bobs goodbye, and she tells her that there's something she can do to keep her there forever. Do we know what's going on? Absolutely not. Am I kind of excited to see what comes next? Absolutely. Actually, I take that back. There's a giant tick crawling to Christine while she has sleep paralysis. This was a mistake. Christine wakes up screaming, but she does this to find that she's in another nightmare where the tick is sucking on Felix's head. When she wakes up from this nightmare, the giant tick is back on her, and the dog is hiding in the shadows. In the morning, Christine takes her pills and she notices that the sore on the back of her neck is getting worse. After that, Christine goes outside to pay respect to Bobs' bird, and Bobs tells her that she saw a bag of pills in Felix's car. Sneaky, sneaky. I don't see this marriage lasting the story now. Diana knew just what to say to Bobs to get her to come back. Smart, but please don't do something like that. Felix tells Christine that Bobs is lying, but Christine doesn't know who to trust anymore. Felix tells her that he'll move upstairs to let her cool off, but that's not good enough to get Christine to trust him. He realizes that he's not getting anywhere in this conversation, and he grabs his stuff and leaves. When Felix gets upstairs, the bird somehow attacks him again, and he falls over the edge of the stairs. Felix goes to the hospital, and Christine explains to Bobs that Felix will be at the hospital for a little while recovering. The next day, Christine takes Bobs with her to work, and they watch as the other kids dance for the clothing video. Diana is working on her magic elsewhere though, and Diana starts seeing everyone with ticks and tick bites on them. Never realized how much I hate ticks until this movie, but that disgust is solidly grounded in my subconscious now. Thank you for that. Christine starts freaking out, and she ends up screaming at her boss and Bobs. Liz tries to comfort her, but she can't believe what's happening. Later, Bobs goes into Christine's room to ask what's wrong, and Christine just tells her to go away. Suddenly, there's someone at the door, and when Bobs answers, she finds Diana waiting. Christine is overjoyed to see her, and she sobs on the stairs. Diana promises to finish what they started. In another flashback, we see Diana take her daughter with her to the factory that she works at, and it turns out to be the factory that made the clothes that Christine designed. One day, Christine shows up to tour the facility, and she tells the manager to start locking the doors so that none of the employees can steal anything. So Christine ran a sweatshop, and she wanted everyone trapped inside to make even more clothes than they could before. Well, any sympathy that I had for Christine is just about gone now. On top of that, in the present, Diana admits that she's not there to cure her anymore, and she works her in her studio like they worked her. Fair play. She gave her fair warning forever ago that she just had to trust her. In the flashback, Diana asks for water for her daughter, and the boss decides to unlock the door to let her go to get something to drink. Outside, the mangy dog sits across the road, but inside, the manager accidentally starts a fire that spreads. While Diana is getting some coconut water, a crowd gathers outside the building, and she notices the smoke coming from that direction. The door's locked, though, and her baby is trapped inside. In the present, Diana chants over Christine, and Christine starts to see and feel like she's trapped inside the inferno as well. She sees Diana's daughter take shelter as everyone else burns, and she tells Diana what her daughter did in her last moments. This movie saved every bit of emotional trauma for these last 10 minutes. It also turns out that Diana sent the dog and Tick 8 months ago when the factory burned. She even left her in the fiery flashback. Then she jumps from the roof and the baby bird's back. I really did not need to see this twice. The baby bird jumps into Bob's just as Felix gets home. He goes upstairs to find Christine's charred body, and Diana's soul goes to her husband to tell him that it's done. The next day, Bobs goes to the woods to start collecting herbs, and she sees Diana watching over her from a distance. Then, the credits roll. This was a good one. A little bit of a slow burner in the beginning, but all in all, it was worth it. Give it a shot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.